No, not. I mean, I'm good. Just because I just got a new contract a year ago, and so, and then I think a lot of it is I just don't want the distraction. Don't want the distraction during this time of the year. I think before the season, after the season is when you really like to iron out details. I'm really appreciative of Troy Dannon and a lot of it, with him coming in as a new athletic director. He wants to make sure I understand I'm a priority, and I certainly feel like I'm a priority based on conversations getting started and, a lot of the talk with the contract being a big piece of that. So I feel like I'm in a great place, and obviously we're focused on everything that's been happening here in December, Pac-12 championship, Sugar Bowl, and national championship.
Just, your daughter is about to start at Washington, or
yeah.
next year?
Yeah, she's a senior in high school right now, so next summer, fall, she'll report there. Yep.
Kalen, hey, I guess, describe how you came to be such an aggressive play caller, coach. You make a lot of fourth down decisions that maybe some people wouldn't make. Just curious sort of how you developed that and where it came from and where the affirmation in your mind is when you make those calls.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that are much more aggressive than I am, but I think it's just picking and choosing the right times. A lot of it, you understand the percentages and the chances, and of course there's a million different ways to look at the analytics of everything and what you should do, but for me, there's a piece of that, but it's also just, where we're at in the game and, your gut instinct. And, obviously, you're trusting in the game plan, and you're trusting in the calls that your coaches are going to make. And, of course, most importantly, you're trusting the execution of your guys. And we talk about it all off season, even in spring ball, just, being ready to play four downs on defense, being ready to, make an opportunity happen on fourth down offensively. So we practice it a lot in every scrimmage that we have, spring, fall camp. And obviously the game situations, we're working on that a lot of the times to be confident in those moments.
Is that something that you do based on who you have on the team? Like, obviously, it's different to call some of those plays when Michael Penix is your quarterback versus other guys, or is it just, this is my philosophy, this is what I want?
Yeah, and there's no question. Your ability to make those plays because of the trust you have in your players, but also just kind of if you don't execute and you don't convert, you're putting your defense in a spot that is pretty tough sometimes. And so I think having a trust in them that this tough spot they're going to be in, if it doesn't go the way it's supposed to, isn't going to break them. That they're just going to go out and take the field and go out and do everything they can to ease the pain if that is the way it goes, and go make the next play. And if it's in our own territory, make sure it's nothing more than a field goal. And if it's happening on the other end of the field, then just let's get a 3 and out, and let's get the ball back to the offense. And that there's no harm, no foul. So I think a lot of it has to do with the trust of your players. And again, we have a very mature crew, both offensively and defensively, that can handle it and be in those moments and be able to not be overwhelmed by the situation, just go out and execute. Yep.
What is Dylan Johnson's status for Monday?
Yeah, I mean, we're expecting him to play. So we're expecting him to play. He's been through this over the last couple months, and he hasn't missed any time there, and so he's having a good week, getting back healthy. So.
No one's 100%.
No, exactly right. Yeah, I think that's how it is for a lot of our guys, and I'm sure Michigan's got the same thing. A lot of guys that aren't 100%, but he's heading in a good direction here this week as we get ready for kickoff. Yep.
Hey, Coach. Obviously you had an incredible run at Sioux Falls, and 10 years later you're a Power 5 head coach. What has been most transferable for you going from NAIA to the Power 5?
Transferable? I would say just working with people. Football is football. I think there's just the number of people that help you with the details and from the breaking down of film to the game planning. But when it comes down to it, the football is football. And working with people has also just, I think, been a transferable piece of it, where You want to empower your staff. You want to empower your team to be able to go out there and have a great atmosphere that facilitates an environment they want to be a part of. And so that's a lot of the piece, is just making the time that they have together enjoyable, trying to pull out the best in each of them, tap into each other's strengths. To me, it's a lot of just how you build confidence going throughout the year, going throughout the week, leading up to a game that gives you the opportunity to go out and be successful on game day.
You look across college football, right? There's yourself who had such success in the NFL games, Coach Mike, who's obviously won national championships in Division III, and you guys have led some incredible scholarships at the Power 5 level. Do you think that do you think people give enough credit to the success that you guys have and that coaches have at that level?
Well, there's so many great coaches at the small college level, and I'm certainly great friends with Lance, and he's done an amazing job. And at that level, you're wearing a lot of hats. You're doing a lot of different things, and I think as you go through the different levels, you have an appreciation for what those small college days were like, and everything that you have now compared to then. But it's there's so many great just people, but great coaches that if they just stay the course and keep working, maybe catch a break here and there, there's no doubt that they can get to moments like we have right now.
Hey, Coach. You coached Michael Penix for a year at Indiana. Why did you think when you got to Washington that he was the right guy to join you there? And then when he got there, did you guys just pick up right where you left off?
Yeah, well, my familiarity with Michael made it really easy because I knew who he was as a person. I knew he was a guy that was very competitive. I knew he was someone who just really cared about his teammates. I knew that he'd been through a lot of challenges, unlike most other people, and he still was fighting. Just saw a lot of those things above and beyond the arm talent, the athletic ability, all those things that I got a chance to work with him for 1 year on. I knew he was a guy that could come in here and do exactly what he's doing. And I don't say that arrogantly. That's all on Michael. That's a huge compliment to just everything that he stands for and what his ability level is when it comes to processing defenses, getting the ball where it needs to be, and leading a football team, and I knew he had that part in him. It's just really cool to see his growth and see him come so far and just take over, this program. And, I think even just managing a fan base and working with them and embracing a fan base is probably the best way to say it. I'm just proud of how he's handled all of it, and his story is special. And it's because he's a special guy.
Kalen, it wasn't long ago you were in Eastern Michigan, right on the doorstep of Ann Arbor. So how different are your dreams now than they were back when you were first starting out at Eastern?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different place that we're in right now, right? I mean, playing for to be the number one team in the country. As far as just the men's mindset of the day-to-day and all that, not a lot. I mean, I loved being around the people I was with. Chris Creighton is an amazing person. I cried my eyes out when I left that place. The morning I spoke with him, and he understood, that this was an opportunity to go into Fresno at that time that was good for me and my family. But, that was a hard place to leave because there were so many great people that I surrounded myself with. Now, to me, that's the key, is wherever you go, the people make it what it is. And so as far as the dreams and things like that, the dreams of being at the top of your level and winning the championships, whether that's a MAC championship or a Pac-12 championship, a Big Ten championship, a national championship now, you are aspiring to try to be at the highest level you can possibly get to against the most competitive people that are out there. That's what makes this fun, and so embracing all that right now is something I'm certainly enjoying.
Is the magnitude of this game hit you yet?
It's been a quick turnaround. I mean, in all honesty, and I've tried to make sure our guys realize the moment they're in, have some perspective because it's going to come and go real fast. 7 days from Sugar Bowl to national championship. I think last year was a few more days than what it is now. So we've spent some time in the air from New Orleans to Seattle and back to here. But I've tried to really make sure and be intentional that, this moment is special. It's really great when you're in playoff football, when you know when your last game is going to be. And, you can have a moment here, a moment there where you can really appreciate how far we've come, whether it's this year or over the last 2 years. And, in the end, though, someone's going to be a national champion, and that's the greatest piece of it all is making sure you're putting in all the preparation. And so we're diving into all that, but the preparation is what's going to lead to the success on game day.
What's it like seeing guys like Mike Hart and Jack Carroll on the other side? What was it like being with them in Indiana?
Yeah, those are great guys. Mike, it was a blast working with him at Indiana and being in that staff room every day. And there's a reason why he's been successful throughout his entire journey and is where he is at right now. And man, he's a great friend. Obviously, we're strong competitors here this week, but there'll be a point in time where we can look at each other, talk with each other, and congratulate each other on such a great year this year. And we've done that at different times throughout the year, a text message here, a text message there, just to say, hey, watching you and great job, keep it going. But a lot of the reason why I always feel I'm at a place is because of the people I'm around and the opportunity to go to Fresno and the opportunity to come to Washington after being at Indiana was because of the people I had around me, and Mike Hart was a major, major piece of that. Jack was as well. He's a guy that no matter what his role was, he was ready to accept it, own it, and was going to go out there and give everything he had. I know even after I left, there were times he was playing through pain with his team there, and just trying to get on the football field and do whatever he could to make his team the best he could be. So I'm looking forward to seeing him after the game and congratulating him on his journey as well.
Back to that 2019 to 2020 run, those two Indiana teams, a lot of this game, what does that say about kind of what was in place in Indiana?
Yeah, I mean, there was great people there, and it made it enjoyable, and that led to a lot of work getting done, and the work led to success. And so, when you have fun doing your job and when you have fun coming to practice every day as a player, and that's what we had there. That's why you see so many successful people and guys doing the things they're doing. So, a lot of guys that have done some great things, moving on in their careers.
What do you think it means for the sport, if anything, to have the first title game in 9 years without any team from the South?
Oh, I guess I don't get caught up in that. For us, it was our personal goal to get here, and we were going to play whoever we had to play in the semifinals, and whoever was next, and that's Michigan right now. We're just blessed to be in this position to be able to play the game. So I think it says a lot about the parity of college football and how many teams could be in this spot. I think that was something that was noted, I think, especially in the latter half of the season, as undefeated teams still were holding on, and that next wave of maybe one-loss teams was really strong and doing well. So it says a lot about college football that you have different teams finding their ways to get to this game.
Coach, just asked Rome about this, and he said he's not the type of receiver that asks for the ball, but yet in every almost clutch situation this year, the ball went his way. I mean, what does that mean to have a receiver of his caliber deliver in the biggest moments of the season? Yeah,
I would say that's very accurate. That I can't think of a time he's ever come to the sideline and requested getting the ball to him. I think that's a lot of trust from him to Coach Shepard, Coach Grubb, all of us, just that he's a priority and that the ball will find him. And then just, good decisions and good choices by Michael when he finds the opportunities to get Rome in those big moments. And then also good game planning and good play calling by Coach Grubb and, just the offensive staff working together to make sure, Rome's in those spots in the big moments. I think, it also helps that he's got other guys around him that, take away from, maybe him getting double teamed all the time. Certainly people are conscious of where he's at quite often, especially in those big times. But, Jalen McMillan, Jalen Polk, and the rest of the crew of receivers, tight ends, and running backs certainly help our whole offense click, especially in the big moments. Yeah, I think obviously there was a lot as far as who the Final Four teams were that got in, and there'll always be questions on those bubble teams as far as getting to a playoff, and I don't care what it is, the NCAA basketball tournament, the football playoffs, but there'll be more teams that have a great chance of getting to the championship that will have a chance to be in the playoff. So getting in was a big piece of us being able to get to this moment today. It means a lot that we're just here today playing in this national championship game.
When Michael made the decision to transfer and arrive on campus, how did you go about earning the trust of your teammates? And was that a process that you were able to help them with?
I didn't have to say much. I just reassured him everything I'd kind of felt from the players already, and that it was, through December as I'm meeting with him and understanding that this is a really, really good group of guys. They really want to win badly. If you come in and just do the work and you're just a good dude, they're going to embrace you. They're going to accept you. And that fit everything that Michael is as far as being a hard worker, a guy that is just a fun guy to hang around as a teammate. And, he just came in and did all those things, and they opened their arms to him, and he opened his arms to them as well. And it's just been awesome seeing everything come together. And that happened very quickly. And then this year, just seeing him embrace that role of, the team really following his lead and understanding that, he's our quarterback. And him not taking that for granted. He is very intentional on making sure that the team understands how much he appreciates them. And that's why we're here, is because of his leadership and all the team coming together around him, with him. And, it's led to great moments where I think everyone just believes in each other and wants to do something special.
Obviously, you don't need extra motivation at this stage, but how much do you feel the dynamic of this being the last year of the Pac-12 and kind of the whole western part of the country kind of getting behind you guys to kind of represent what was?
Yeah, I think maybe you felt that kind of leading up to the Pac-12 championship, that, hey, this was the last one that we were going to have as far as a championship game. And then us representing the Pac-12, especially going to the Final Four here. I will say, I think now this week, honestly, it's probably us just focused on us and just trying to do everything we can to be ready to go win a national championship, and us representing UW. But I know we're proud of where we come from and the conference we represent and everything that has led to us having our success, this year. We got put through the ringer, with our conference schedule, playing a lot of really good teams, and I think that helped us prepare for a semifinal game, and it will have helped us prepare for this championship game on Monday.
Your thoughts on the current state of college football, just college sports in general? You talked about the Pac-12, but transfer portal, guys transferring for the bowl game, NIL, teams switching conferences. Is it too much, too soon? Your thoughts?
Yeah, there's a lot happening, and I think it will never end, right? It's always just, there's going to be something. It might not be that conference alignment is maybe in hot at the time, or something kind of gets tweaked with the portal and all that. But there is a lot going on, and I think the coaches, the programs that can continue to evolve with the times and adjust, those are the ones that are going to be the most successful. But I don't have a perfect answer on what the fix is. Certainly willing to be a part of committees or whatever it might be to talk through and working with the coaches across the country to make the little tweaks year to year that need to be done, and to try to stay away from those unfortunate situations that have popped up, not just this year, but in the past couple of years.
Morning, Coach. Two questions. The first one, you talked about trust and having familiar faces around you to work with. With this particular group, this season, when did it all kind of like step up and say, oh, this is different. We're ready to go now. Get to this point. Trust factor.
Yeah, you're asking what's the question though?
The trust factor in this group is for
Yeah.
staff, players,
Yeah.
and everybody believing in you.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I think our trust amongst everyone is extremely high. I think that's something that's been built over time. I think it's something that the coaching staff was very intentional with, and a lot of that has to do with good communication, good organization, and showing the path to our players that we felt it would take, and them being open to being coached, being critiqued. Our job as coaches is to give feedback to these guys, and that feedback sometimes isn't something that they want to hear, but they've always been open to it because their goals of getting to a national championship and playing for championships and being that caliber of a team, they understood that they had to always improve. Well, if you're going to improve, you got to trust your coaches, the things they're asking you to do, things they're asking you to focus on, areas where you need to get better. So it goes both ways. Our coaches really trust our players, believe in them, not just what happens on the football field, but just what happens off and who they are as people. It's really made it a lot of fun because we can enjoy these moments that they're getting to go through, these experiences that they'll never forget, and the relationships that have been built that will last forever.
And the expansion of the CFP next season, teams that didn't get it, felt like they made it, they were deserved to be in, but now the expansion of next season. Let's talk about what that'll mean to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, the more opportunities, right, with more teams getting in, and so that's a big piece for everyone to get those chances and opportunities.
All right, we're here with Washington coach Kalen DeBoer. Coach, you and I were both on the Superdome carpet about 1:30 a.m. After celebrating the victory for yourself, and we're talking, what was the travel schedule like that? Decision maybe not to stay down south and then go over to Houston. You decided to go back to Seattle, then come back down here. What kind of went into deciding how to travel for this game? Knowing it's a little bit different.
Yeah, there's pros and cons, I think, to stay in and going. And for us, I think it was a lot of different things, not just with this team, but also some of the stuff that we had going on with a quarter system school and some transfers in high school, early enrollees that were coming in. We had 11 guys there that are already taking classes. I think it had to do with familiarity with just our training staff, and getting ready. Our guys having the weight room that we're used to lifting in, and the efficiency of the operation, at least while we're there. Not that it couldn't have been done here in Houston, but I think getting back there, and then also I think it just put a mindset in us that we got to work. We got to put in these 2 days of work, which we did. We practiced twice, and then got a chance to hop on a plane yesterday afternoon. Tried to work some things as far as logistics with our coaching staff to be able to maximize their time to game plan, both getting them home early and also getting them here a little bit later in the evening, not with the football team.
right, Coach? So you're talking about preparing. It was a normal 7-day week, although it does feel like it's a little bit faster in unique circumstances. But as you get prepared for this #1 total defense in Michigan, I think there's a misconception that the Pac-12 didn't have teams that had the physical nature like a Michigan. Did you fall back on any of those games? And if you did, which opponents did you watch and kind of try to maybe take something from, knowing they play a similar style?
Yeah, I don't know if we needed to watch our opponents as much. I mean, in a week like this, you're just focused on Michigan more so. But I think some of our opponents and what we've done against them gives us a lot of confidence on both sides of the ball that we play physical football. You know, we've felt many different times that maybe that respect wasn't there, that we were that type of team and had this type of physicality about us, but we've proved it, I think, multiple times. So there are many games that from an Oregon twice, to I think Utah and a few others, and then Texas last week was extremely physical. So I think a lot of those games, and there's even more that you can draw on to trust and believe that that's who we are. We understand that Michigan is extremely prideful in playing that style of football, and they do it very, very well. And so we got to be at our best certainly on Monday.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
You have one of the most experienced rosters in college football. What does that afford you as a coach in terms of your flexibility to install stuff and your flexibility as a senior?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think a lot of what we're installing, I don't know what the percentage would be, but a lot of it is something in some way that we've done over the last probably 2 years here with our guys, and so a little bit of familiarity. Show them a clip from something that we did and why it's something we feel is a good part of a game plan for this week. Triggers them and like, oh yeah, here we go. We've done this. We do a lot of stuff on both sides of the ball, but I think it's done in a way where we can come back to it very quickly, and it all fits our DNA as who we are, offensively, defensively, and special teams. So it does help that we are mature group, but the concepts are the concepts. It usually falls into families for us, and we can draw on that very quickly with installation.
So older players tend to pick up things faster.
There's more experiences, right? They've done something in some form or fashion that's related to maybe what we're trying to install throughout their careers, right? Most of it's probably within the last 2 years, but there might be something that goes back even 3, 4, 5 years ago, and it's just that much quicker for them to kind of recall it and be able to go out there and execute it well.
Coach, this is obviously a big moment for you, your players, the program in general. Has it been difficult to ground your team going into Monday's game, or what have those conversations been like?
It really hasn't. I think going back to the middle of the year, beating Oregon, and that was a big game. It was emotional at home, the way we won it. And I think, the experiences we've had ever since then, what I've seen from the team is we get into the locker room, and this includes last weekend. There's excitement. There's a ton of smiles. There's a lot of pictures being taken, all that good stuff. But it's not this chaotic, envision like those champions where teams where the champagne is flowing by those professional sports. It is a very business-like. Understand that the next step is the most important one now, and kind of checking the boxes throughout the year. That's what this team is. I think they're focused on this championship and not getting ahead of themselves, and understanding that the work is the work. And in order for us to realize a championship, we have to make sure we're putting in the time. And so keeping them grounded, this group really has not been hard all year. And that's why I have a lot of trust that they've been grounded. And you can just tell by the reactions and things in practice that they're pretty focused and making this more about a business trip than anything.
Kalen, 2 questions on Dylan. The first one, he said he's ready to rock and roll. Do you expect him to have use him in full like you've used many other people?
As of right now, yes. I mean, obviously, as you go through the game, you always just adjust, but that's how it's been with him really the last couple months of the season here. So, as of right now, yes.
And what's the moment like? The human in you sees some player get hurt. You obviously have that emotion. The clock issue, obviously, was critical to the game. As you're processing that moment, what is that like when you reflect back on it?
Well, in that game, I mean, if there's one thing about our guys, we probably err to a fault on guys trying to get off the field and not laying there. And so when I know that someone's on the field, they're hurt, and so the feelings naturally are for these guys that you love so much. And Dylan would be someone who's put so much into this program. I mean, he's going to do anything he can to get off that football field, and obviously he couldn't at that time. So your heart goes out to him, and obviously there's a piece like, this is our starting tailback and stuff like that, and feeling like we got a chance to win a football game and what lies ahead. But first and foremost, it's all about him as a person and his health, and that's what I was feeling at that time. Yeah.
Coach, thinking about Michael in particular, what was something that made him someone you wanted to have as part of your program, and how has he kind of helped drive that business-like ethos that you mentioned?
Two things I can think of. I mean, there's many, but it would be who he is as a person, and obviously the skill set that he brings along with his talents and all that. So I knew that he's a guy you could build a team around, that production-wise was going to go out there and give you everything you needed, throwing the football, running an offense, leading a football team. But then as a person, he's a guy that you're willing and never going to question having out front and center in moments like this, out in the community, anything. He's just going to speak well. He's going to know what to say and how it always brings our team closer together. So, what was the last part of your question?
How has he kind of driven that business-like ethos that you mentioned?
Yeah, I think the entire year, starting a year ago, he made a decision to come back. I think a lot of people thought he was going to move on and go on to the NFL. He made the decision to come back. That showed a lot of people how serious he was, mostly our team, about winning a championship and doing something well above and beyond what we did a year ago, and also believing that it could happen. And the work he's put in supports those goals and aspirations that he's had for over a year now. And the last month, I just feel like he's been on another level. Just nothing is sliding by him for sure, but nothing sliding by our offense, our football team. When we talk about being grounded as a football team, he's one of the guys that's leading the charge as much as anyone.
Coach, you've got a quarterback who's been in college now for 6 seasons. We're seeing that a lot of different places. Do you think at all that's an issue when you've got maybe a 24, 25-year-old guy playing against, just talking about physical maturity, against a guy who might be 18 or 19 years old? Or is that one of those things, considering how conditioning and training is, it's just not that big a deal anymore?
I mean, I guess I don't feel like there's that many of those guys out there now. The 6-year piece is a result of the COVID year, right? And we'll slowly be kind of weaning off of that time here each and every year. So I don't think it's going to be something that is going to be really a major impact for us. Yeah, we have quite a few 6-year guys on our team. I think it's helped us, and I think the maturity is as much as anything. You can look at it a couple ways, right? Their bodies are getting older, more mature. There is a difference between that and an 18-year-old, for sure. These guys might be more in their prime physically, but I also think that there's some amazing young guys that can step on the football field, and each program's got to do what they got to do. I mean, you're going to try to do whatever you can to be the best you can, and for us this year, having a lot of these upperclassmen has been beneficial to our success, but we are also working extremely hard to develop our young guys, and their opportunities to get on the football field have been quite frequent as well, and I guess I've never felt like that gap in age right now is something that I'm concerned about. Yep.
Coach Nick Douglas here. You've talked a little bit about guys like Michael coming back for their 6th year, but talk to me a little bit about what you've done from a buy-in standpoint as far as culture goes, and what you do to keep guys like Rome coming back for their senior year, Michael coming back for their 6th year. What are you doing at Washington that makes this program have such a draw?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. I think number one, there's a trust in these players that they're going to continue to be developed, right? They have the aspirations and know that the NFL is just around the corner and that opportunities exists. So they personally understand that if they continue to work because of the trust of the strength staff, the nutrition staff, our coaching staff, that they'll continue to develop and be even better, which will raise their opportunities for the NFL. I think the second piece is their experiences. We're providing experiences. We're providing a piece of their journey during a window that can come and go very quickly when it comes to playing college football. And this journey that they're on, they realize that, man, this is special, and I don't want to miss out. And these guys, I mean, the guys that are, going to stick around next year, a lot of it's for those two reasons as well: the development and the journey, and wanting to live in the moment and make this moment last as long as possible, because there's going to come a point in time when football is gone, and real life starts to happen. So I think those are the main two things on why the guys have done what they've done and why our culture is built the way it is up to this point.
Talk to me a little bit about how you expect the culture to evolve entering the Big Ten next year with a slew of national opponents.
I think it's always just challenging ourselves to be our best, and our coaching staff, we'll continue to evaluate the recruiting areas and things like that. We'll always be West Coast based with our footprint, but there's other opportunities that may come about. We have a lot of connections with our coaching staff, having a lot of Midwest and Big Ten former coaches on it already. And so we have a lot of confidence. I think our players will have a lot of confidence in that. But we're always just going to challenge ourselves to be our best. And it isn't just about the Big Ten. It's about the evolution of your team and college football, and trying to do what you need to do to beat the people at the top of the mountain, and competing with them.
You speak of Midwest coaches, one of them being Eric Schmidt, that followed you to Fresno State and then obviously to Washington. Covered him in North Dakota. How have you maybe seen him develop as a coach over the years since he stays there?
Yeah, Eric's done a great job for us, and I got a chance to coach with him 2010 to 2013 at Southern Illinois, and very, very quickly recognized that the guy's a relentless hard worker, very, very smart, special teams wise, works hand in hand with our defensive staff to put an awesome game plan together. He's going to go on and do great things, and our whole team and our whole coaching staff is extremely proud and happy for him that he's going to get an opportunity to go be a DC here this next year again. And so, just seeing his growth, I think it's just a lot of verification and a lot of little just minor tweaks here and there. Seeing it done another way, seeing it done at the highest level, I think those are things that can never hurt you. And, I know that's going to help him be successful at his next opportunity here very shortly. Yep.
I'm sure there's a lot, but if you had to pick just one thing that was the most important factor in Michael taking his game to another level this year, what would it be? He's never going to have any regrets, and so no regrets when it comes to leadership and wishing he would have said something and not said it. No regrets when it comes to putting an extra hour of routes in this summer, knowing that it's going to pay off at some point in the year in a big throw, in a big moment. I think him having perspective on all of this and not having regrets with how he handles people, the different moments that come about. I know that's a bigger picture thing when I say no regrets, but it hits all the areas. And just being all in, 100 miles an hour, he's just really been able to balance all of the things that are expected of him as a leader of a top now 2 team in the program, with what his focus and goals are of winning a championship and being the best he can be.
obviously a lot of the country's still learning about you, learning about your program. You're very soft-spoken. I've had a couple of players tell me you never raise your voice. Why?
I mean, there's a couple times. I mean, I appreciate them protecting me here a little bit, but I think when you do have those selective moments, then they realize like, okay, it's real serious. But I just feel like they know that we're fighting the same fight as a coaching staff. That I want the same thing for them that they want for themselves, and they know we're pouring and trust and believe that our coaching staff is pouring everything into them. And we're in this together. And so there are emotional times, there are things, but I feel it's who I am, and I have to be who I am as a person, trying to be consistent. That's just my leadership, way of doing things. That's who I am as a person. And if I was going to do things that were out of character, then I think they would lose their consistency as well, as far as the expectations and the accountability and those big moments. I think hopefully there's a piece where their trust and their consistency and all those things have helped them get through it to where they're not emotional or overwhelmed in the moment. They can just focus in on what we talk about each and every day, and that's their job, and trusting the guy next to them and trusting our coaches we're going to make the right calls and make the right decisions and choices.
Ryan is talking about Courtney, and I'm curious. He mentioned he was not the first call you made when you got the job here, one of the first. And what was it about him? Why did you need him here?
Yeah.
What has he brought to you?
Courtney was with us there in 2020 at Fresno State, and it's probably still one of the hardest years ever of coaching in my life. And I think it showed a lot about people during that year, during those times. And that's a big part of why I brought a lot of the staff with me to Washington, is because I saw what these people were made of. And Courtney, his work ethic and his willingness, his ability to adjust during those times when you couldn't have guys coming to campus, you couldn't have the coaches going off campus. And it just said a lot about who he was as a person. And you're right. He was one of the first. Had a couple coordinators that I, felt like I needed from strength and conditioning and offense coordinator and coordinators on the staff to get on board. But within 30 minutes, all those calls happened, and Courtney was at the top of that list. I just knew his relentless work ethic was going to be something that was going to help us bring the right guys in. I understood, his connections and just how he handles people. It's what I wanted our program to be associated with and how I wanted it to be perceived. And he probably touches more people out there than anyone on our staff. He's constantly on the phones. He's constantly texting and communicating with people. And so he's a major representative of our program, and he does a great job communicating what we do to those people we're trying to bring in. And and I think his core values fit my core values, and so it was just a great fit. We wouldn't be here without him, and we're just super happy that he chose to come back to the West Coast here and be with us.
Did you think you were going to struggle to convince him to leave his alma mater? Was that,
I mean, yeah, I did. He just moved out a year ago, and but I also knew that we had become very close very quickly. And that just like I'm sharing what I saw in him during those tough times in 2020, I think he saw that in me and the other coaching staff, the rest of the coaching staff that's here, that we could fight through anything, that we were going to be there for each other, and we were going to have a lot of fun doing it on this journey that we're on.
in the Sugar Bowl, what specifically did you do to neutralize Devondre Sweat and Outland Trophy winner between those two first or second round draft picks as receivers?
Yeah, we certainly had to be conscious and intentional on game planning around a lot of different pieces of their team, but fortunately we have an offensive line that's pretty good, and they did a good job working in coordination with Michael
and I thought a great game plan by Coach Grubb and our offensive staff to be able to move the pocket and do different things to not be able to be just a sitting target back there. When it comes to Michael and protecting him, and I would say Michael at the moments when he had to made great decisions to check protections and he also did an amazing job with his feet. He slide stepped a couple times, scrambled, knew when to throw the football away, managed the game well. Being behind the chains is something that you never want, but I think against a team like that, that was certainly the case. That'll be a big part of our focus again against Michigan here. But we moved the pocket and did a lot of different things to, not be able to allow them to just tee off on us. It was a struggle still to run the football. I think that's certainly understood, and I think from the other side of it, their receivers thought we did a good job just knowing their concepts. Had a lot of time to really hone in on what they do best, and that's a lot of times focused on their personnel first of all, and how they wanted to get different guys the ball in space or down the field. And I think our DBs just did a really nice job accepting that challenge.
Coach, leading up to probably your biggest day on the job, how much do you think about your first day on the job?
At Washington?
Yeah.
At Washington? Yeah, it hasn't been a whirlwind because in the end you look back and there's a lot of stuff that's happened. But, what a special moment that was to be introduced as a head football coach. And I don't know if you guys have ever been up in our area there in our offices, but it overlooks the stadium, which overlooks Lake Washington, which but you can see the Cascades in the background. It's as beautiful setting as you're ever going to see. And so kind of pinching myself at the time, but also knowing that a lot of hard work had come into getting that moment and that a lot of hard work was going to be necessary for us to do what I know this program was capable at the time. I'd seen it back in 2017 at Fresno State as an offensive coordinator, and that was a year after the semifinal team of 2016. And I saw a stadium that was rocking, that was causing a lot of problems when it comes to, just having to get a snap count off with any sound at all. It was an amazing environment. I didn't know a lot about the city, but I knew about the tradition of the program and knew that it went deep. It wasn't just a couple years, it was decades. And it was really cool very quickly seeing the passion that the entire community has for the Dogs. And, of course, we've seen that ever since then with our success and the big moments that we've had.
Kalen, when the whole Big Ten thing was going on, how looped in were you on just the machinations of it? Was there a day or two where you worried that this might not be your job anymore, where you could win a national championship?
Why wouldn't I not be worried? I guess I never felt like that would be a situation, whether we were in the Pac-12 or the Big Ten. I think, Washington football, and I give a lot of credit to our prospects in the summer last year that were being recruited and knew that there were some things that were still up in the air as far as what could happen with the Pac-12 and the media piece that was still kind of out there and getting worked through. And I just, along with the staff, continue to say, focus on UW, focus on the tradition, focus on how great our academics are, focus on the market that we have here in the Seattle area, focus on all those things that make us different than most of the other programs in the country. And, that kind of led to, I think, us feeling like no matter where we're at, we're going to be okay. And so that gave us a peace of mind to where really I wasn't stressed about that. As far as kind of what was happening in those days or weeks, however long it was, there wasn't a lot that I needed to be aware of because I think kind of just the way we operate is if you need to know, we'll talk about it. But it was back and forth so much as far as which direction and how things were going. And for even a big part of it, it seemed like it was set to where, the Pac-12, we were going to be a part of it. And, okay, here we go, But, I think it really was right at the very end. The day everyone else kind of found out is kind of the day for me that it really became a reality as well. So small tidbits just because I would ask, hey, what's going on? Not because there was really any information to give, but more because the coaching staff might ask. And I needed to know if there was something that needed to be communicated to prospects because they kept asking as well. And I didn't want to be blatantly lying to their face or not being able to give the best information that I possibly could to help them feel good about their choices that they were making to be a UW football player.
What will you miss about the Pac-12? And is it kind of sad? I mean, it's coming off two of its best years. And moving on.
Yeah, there's a few games, obviously, that will still take place with the California schools and Oregon. And so some of those natural rivalries and games and trips and all that. But I think still only having been in the Pac-12 truly for 2 years, I've had a good scope of it for more than that, being on the West Coast. But I think this year there was a couple times where our staff looked back on it and we're getting ready for another game in the Pac-12 and realizing, what had happened in the years past and how awesome those moments were for our alumni, for our fan bases. So there's certainly a piece of that where you're sensitive to it, and it's very unfortunate. I guess from my end, the piece of that as the head football coach is to make sure we never forget those moments, because those are the moments that are truly important to our program. Those are the ones the fans remember. Those are the ones our alumni remember, and that's always going to be a major part of our tradition and our history.
Kalen, I wanted to ask you about futures. Are you pleased with kind of where you've ended up on that partnership, and how important nowadays is the retention piece of it?
Yeah, I think I always look in things in perspective of how far we've come. And we've come a long ways as a football team. We've come a long ways, whether it's certain individuals in the program, and then how far we've come, in this situation with Motley Futures, and how great it is now compared to where it was. Is there room for growth? Absolutely. Do we need to continue to keep the pedal down? Do we need to continue to have more involvement with our community and donors and all that? Do we need to continue to have more of a belief that this is, in some form or fashion going to be how college athletics is going to continue on? Absolutely. All those things. We need to have more of it. But we have come a long ways. It's allowed us to have some retention in our program to where, a lot of the guys that stuck around for another year, it made it to where, yes, the development that they were going to have, the journey that they were going to be on, the experiences they were going to have here this year, those were all big pieces of it too. But it kind of made it a little bit easier for them to decide to stay, knowing that life is a little bit better, just a little bit. I don't have to worry about this one, where my next meal is going to come from. I mean, we take care of all that, from a program standpoint. But, maybe if I want to fly home and I got a 3-day, 4-day weekend during the summer, some of those type of things. And, a lot of these guys are doing a good job of even just saving it all, for their days when football's over, whether it be college or the NFL. And so it's come a long ways. I have a ton of appreciation for the hard work that's been put in. I have a ton of appreciation for the people who believe in this program and understand that in order for us to continue on and be successful, there's got to be a great investment in the NIL world. And we need to continue to build on what's been happening over the last year and a half.
Hey, you had Michael in 19 when he came back in the picture in 22, I guess. Did you have a sense for his angst and everything he'd been through injury-wise, when he almost gave up the game? Did you guys have a conversation about that?
I think there's been a story or two that I learned after he's been here. Probably more so just about the pain that he felt inside, when he was going through all these moments. I knew it was really hard for him. It would be hard for everyone, right? But he had been through so much. I also know that when he came on his official visit in December, it was straight business. There was it didn't matter. We could have taken him to nowhere, and honestly, we didn't do much with him, he was focused on watching the film of the receivers, whether it be huddle film from 2 or 3 years ago or film from the season before. He was focused on who the offensive linemen were that were going to be protecting him. And I think there was even some focus on the whole team because, yes, he wanted to have that individual success. He wanted to know that he had people around him to be able to throw the ball to and protect him, but he also wanted to win. And I think that was a piece that was out there. He wanted to win on another level that he hadn't experienced. And so it was a pure business trip for him coming out there. But, yeah, there's been a lot of stories that have come out that certainly show all the pain and the tough times that he went through. I just tried to compare with him what he had before with what we have. And I think also him understanding that we were going to get the most out of guys and we were going to be able to evolve what they did and showing why maybe they wasn't successful, maybe why the system didn't fit who that group of guys were that were blocking up front, and him knowing what we were going to do. And I think, you know, his confidence in that is something that I guess I'll cherish forever, right? I mean, he had a belief in another level that we were going to continue to put people around him, whether it's Ryan Grubb as the offense coordinator, you know, and that trust he had in me at that time is something I'll never forget, you know, and, you know, it's a big, major part of our relationship for sure.
Kalen, you obviously got a new AD in the middle of this season. What's it been like kind of working with Troy over the last few months, developing that relationship? And what do you feel like he's kind of brought to this athletic department in that time?
Yeah. I mean, he's still trying to put all the pieces around himself as well. I know he just made a couple more hires even this last week. So, you know, I appreciate that he's been very thorough and trying to figure out exactly what needs to happen and who those people need to be, what their best skill sets are and their traits that we need to grow the athletic department. But it's been great working with him. He's just very aggressive, wants football to be great, wants our entire all our sports teams to be great. But you know, being in season right now and understanding the moment that we're in and what this year's been looking like, it's been awesome having his support. He's, you know, been great with communication with me and asking questions and making sure that we feel like we're supported the way that we need to, even during some transition with maybe shorthanded staff in some assistant athletic director roles and things like that. So he's had to pull double duty, triple duty with all the things that are happening around the athletic department, not just football, but it's been great so far.
Kalen, just wanted to ask quick about Richard Newton. You guys had a reduced role for you guys, but he's continued to stay here and he's been a teammate and behind the scenes, I'm sure, has been a consummate supporter. What can you say about a guy who chose not to leave despite not having everything that he wanted here?
Yeah, we had you know, a conversation you know, after last season, or maybe there was a couple conversations, and man, Rich falls in that category as being a dog for life. There is no question, and he expressed that. He understood that, you know, we had some guys that came in last year. We have some more with Dylan Johnson coming in this year, Daniel Nagata. And it didn't matter. He wanted to do whatever he could to help our team be successful. I challenged him and said, now this is easier said than done. And he said, that's all right. I'm wanting to do this. And he's had roles here and there that have been really, really important, really critical in big moments. And you know, the thing about Richard is, you know, I know he's going to be ready. He's always ready. And when that time comes, if he gets called upon, he'll step out there and do whatever it takes to help us win. But he's made some sacrifices because of his commitment to being a dog. And I can't tell you how much I love him because of all of it. I remind him here and there how much I appreciate him because of just how he's gone about his business, how he supported everyone around him. And, again, that's easier said than done and really hard to do.